Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tearing into the January 2026 State of AI in the Enterprise report by Deloitte. And let me tell you, we're going to uncover a pretty brutal reality: the massive gap between these shiny new AI experiments and actual organizational survival. If your company is out there running 100 different AI pilots, but your core processes are still just a mess of unmapped manual data, you are staring down some massive architectural debt. We're going to use the data straight from this report to show you exactly why that's happening, and much more importantly, how the most successful organizations are breaking through all that noise.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to hit the pilot trap, depth of transformation, the sovereign AI shift, agentic AI and governance, physical AI realities, and finally, bridging the readiness gap. Let's get right to it.
Okay, let's kick things off with this striking number. According to the report, surveyed companies have broadened worker access to AI by 50% in just a single year. That means around 60% of workers now have sanctioned AI tools right at their fingertips. Sounds like a massive win, right? Well, actually, this wide rapid access is kind of masking a much deeper deployment crisis, because getting a shiny new tool into a worker's hands, that is definitely not the same thing as truly transforming your business.
To really ground this, take a look at this direct quote from a healthcare AI leader who was interviewed for the report. They said, "If there is no coherent AI strategy, you are likely to see pilot fatigue. You're chasing the next shiny object, pressured to do something with AI without a real plan." I mean, that hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the executive mood right now. Funding 100 isolated pilots without an actual roadmap, it doesn't create value, it just creates total chaos.
So that brings us to Section 1, the pilot trap, illusion versus production reality.
You see, a pilot usually runs with a tiny team, using perfectly cleansed data, inside this safe, isolated sandbox. But production? Oh man, production is a total minefield. That pristine 3-month pilot hits the real world and suddenly turns into an 18-month integration nightmare. All of a sudden, you're trying to automate completely broken, unmapped manual data processes. Or worse, your high-velocity AI workflows violently clash with legacy identity access management firewalls. That causes these massive access-denied events that literally freeze your critical systems. The little failures that were just, learning opportunities in a pilot become severe business-stopping risks in production.
And because of that massive leap in complexity, the reality we're facing is pretty stark. Only 25% of organizations have successfully moved a significant portion of their AI experiments into actual production. The rest? They're just stuck in this vicious cycle, endlessly funding new, low-cost pilots, instead of facing the much harder, way more expensive work of actually scaling up their existing successes.
Moving on to Section 2, depth of transformation beyond optimization.
So while nearly everyone is capturing those early productivity gains, 37% of companies are really just using AI at a surface level. Essentially, they're paving the cow path, speeding things up without fixing any of the underlying data issues. But the true leaders out there, that 34% chunk, they are engaging in deep foundational transformation. They aren't just slapping multi-vendor AI wrappers onto messy legacy systems and risking a total back-office civil war. No. They're executing clean core strategies. They're protecting their native ERP data gravity and fundamentally redesigning their business models from the ground up.
Which leads us to Section 3, the sovereign AI shift, strategic independence.
Now, you have to consider this massive shift in the landscape. A staggering 77% of surveyed companies are now factoring an AI solution's country of origin into their vendor selection decisions. On top of that, nearly 3 in 5 are starting to build their AI stacks primarily with local vendors. Geographic sovereignty is now officially just as important as the actual innovation itself.
And this isn't just about ticking off simple compliance checkboxes. Data residency constraints and local compute power are quite literally critical for survival right now. Think about it. With the open web increasingly deploying sweeping network-level blocks against AI scrapers, they are essentially forming this giant infrastructure blockade. Relying on external data has become a massive vulnerability. Sovereign AI allows companies to build what we call distilled small language models, fueled entirely by their own secure local data. This keeps them completely insulated from global import and export controls.
Let's dive into Section 4, Agentic AI and Governance, Scaling Faster Than Guardrails.
Let's make sure we define exactly what we mean here, because we have definitely moved way past basic chatbots that just answer simple questions. Agentic AI refers to highly sophisticated systems that can actually set goals, reason through complex multi-step tasks, and coordinate workflows.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that unlike traditional AI, which really just recommends an action for a human to take, Agentic AI actually takes direct action. It can make purchases, send communications to your clients, or even modify your internal systems completely independently. It's a whole different ballgame.
But the data reveals a pretty jarring contrast. Nearly 3/4 of companies plan to deploy agentic AI within the next 2 years, yet only 21% actually have mature governance in place to manage it. That means 4 out of 5 companies are rushing blindly toward deploying independent action-taking AI. And honestly, we are already seeing the financial blowback from this. We're talking about hidden asynchronous loops and complex multi-agent calling patterns literally blowing through enterprise cloud budgets overnight, all because they were pointed at unoptimized database schemas.
To actually survive this, organizations have to build entirely new governance approaches. You absolutely must define clear boundaries for these autonomous agents. You need real-time anomaly monitoring, systems that flash bright red the second a bot starts hallucinating unauthorized purchases. You need rigorous audit trails. And look, initially, humans won't just be kicking back and relaxing. They are going to be working overtime as the essential human in the loop, stepping in to intercept those access-denied events and making sure these rapid-fire agents don't completely break your legacy systems.
All right, Section 5, Physical AI Realities, the Hidden Infrastructure Mass. This introduces a really brutal total cost of ownership reality check. When companies only budget for the software side of physical AI, they fail. Plain and simple. For example, a warehouse automation project might only require a few $100,000s in AI models, but it actually demands millions in hidden physical infrastructure. We're talking facility retrofits, insanely complex integrations with legacy tech, ongoing maintenance and spare parts, and massive costs from implementation downtime. If you underestimate this chain of costs, I guarantee your project will inevitably face huge delays or just total abandonment.
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 6, Bridging the Readiness Gap, Strategy versus Operations.
The preparedness gap we're seeing here is just staggering. 42% of organizations feel highly prepared when it comes to their AI strategy. I mean, executives are great at writing policy, right? But only 30% are prepared for the actual risk, and the shockingly low 20% feel ready regarding their talent. A massive 84% of companies admit they haven't actually redesigned the nature of the work itself. We are literally forcing 21st century autonomous technology into 20th century manual workflows. It just doesn't work.
So how do leaders actually close this gap? First off, you have to design for deployment from day one. Stop treating scale like it's some afterthought. Second, integrate unified data strategies to finally cure that architectural debt we talked about. Third, embed security by design to handle this crazy new agentic speed safely. And finally, intentionally re-architect your roles and workflows. AI isn't going to just automatically run your business for you. It's going to act as a massive force multiplier, but only, and I mean only, if you deliberately redesign the work around it.
Because the challenge is no longer just getting AI tools to your workers, 60% already have them. The real challenge now is activation. So as you look at your own roadmap, you really have to ask yourself, are you just deploying shiny new tools that will eventually crash against your legacy systems, or are you truly redesigning your business for enterprise reality? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this data helps you map out your own path from pilot illusion to true AI transformation. Catch you next time.